So throughout the whole time you've been making music, have you ever like come close to quitting or anything like that?
100%, bro. Like, I feel like every single musician has thought about that multiple times. And it's weird, right? Because throughout this whole journey, it kind of feels like you're never going anywhere, but things just start happening little by little, and over time you gain momentum. But like, I remember when I first started making beats, like I made my first few tracks around like June of 2016. And then next time I even made another beat was January of 2017. So like there was like this huge gap of 6 months where I just like completely like just let go of it. And I think there's been like similar points throughout the past like few years that I've been making beats. But 100%, I feel like we think about that a lot, mostly because, you know, there's a lot of like societal pressure of like,
yeah,
what are you doing? And a lot of people don't really understand it still, like, even though it's pretty popular now, and like a lot of people are making beats and a lot of people are rapping, but I feel like people still, you know, are pretty new to it. So yeah.
And throughout the whole time, obviously you've interacted with so many artists. So what in that time makes artists stand out to you that you remember with, like, when looking back now, what makes you be like, oh, I enjoyed working with that person so much for everyone listening?
Right. I feel like the number one thing that makes artists stand out, at least to me, something I've realized, I feel like we kind of look for the same people we are as producers in the artist. So for example, for me, it was the work ethic, right? I realized that none of my friends were working as hard as me in whatever they were doing, or I couldn't find the people who are working as hard as me in music. So I kind of looked for those same people online. And for example, Jonah Rain, I work with Jonah Rain a lot. When I found Jonah, he was like going crazy with it. So when I sent him a pack, like without, like throughout the week, he had already sent me back the tracks. And he was like, yo, like, let's work more, let's work more. So I was kind of looking for people who match my work ethic and my pace. Cause I can pump out beats, bro. Like, I was like, I just need someone to have that same work ethic and just pump out music constantly. Cause I feel like there's this culture right now of people being too afraid to release music. So they're like very, you know, they're being very careful what they're releasing. Well, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum where I'm like, keep releasing everything constantly. So I guess I just look for artists who are on the same pace with me. Cause, you know, if I want to work with someone, I want him to, you know, match my energy. I want the artist to match my energy. And I feel like the times where I've had bad experiences is when the artist doesn't match my energy, or maybe I don't match their energy. You know? So
I can totally understand that. I can totally understand that. Going back to releasing music a lot, what are the other benefits, in your opinion, of releasing music a lot? Are there any drawbacks?
Right. I feel like the way I thought about it was, I'm not sure, like, granted, like, I don't know if there's like any opposing opinions to this and what the ideas behind, what the arguments behind the other opinions are. Personally, I was like, okay, there's like a lot of competition right now in hip hop. There's a bunch of producers, there's a bunch of artists. I'm just going to flood it. Like, I'm just going to go crazy. Like, I don't care if every single beat I post gets one play. When I have like 10,000 beats, that's 10,000 plays. So I was thinking about the same thing with money as well. I was like, if every single beat makes me $1, then that means I have $10,000. That's better than having $300 or having like $10.
Yeah.
I just want to I want to make sure that whenever artists looked for beats, I was the person to show up. I'll pump out everything, bro. Like, because I feel like for the longest I was super scared. I was super scared of what, you know, receiving criticism on my beats and like someone calling out my 808s for not being like hard enough or this and that, right? So, but at some point I was like, bro, I'm just gonna like put out everything I got. Like, I'm just gonna flood the market with my music. And that's pretty much my idea of it. So whenever I come across artists who are like, well, I got 2 tracks out, but my next one is gonna be my big one. So I'm like really waiting for it. I'm just like, I mean, I get being positive about it, right? And you definitely should, and you should always welcome opportunities and, you know, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to be on the other end of it where you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And you're like, this next track is going to be my biggest one. And then you put it out and nothing happens. You know, that's like a career ender right there.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's sort of, because I've dealt with it as well. I feel like it stems from like an insecurity of not wanting people to judge your music. So you're only going to release the things that you think are really the best. Whereas, in my opinion, how you actually decide whether beats, songs, whatever, is just by putting stuff out, and then you let other people decide what's good. And you've already put so much out, you're going to figure out what's good faster. How did you get over that like insecurity of like not caring what people think? Because it was a struggle for me.
Right. I feel like the main thing, as cliche as this sounds, is stop listening to other people's opinions, especially people who have no experience doing what you do. For example, I feel like most of the feedback I'd receive is from people who weren't even involved with music the way I was. Like most people, like if I played a beat for my brother who has nothing to do with hip hop music, he'd probably be like, well, this sounds kind of empty. This sounds kind of repetitive. This sounds kind of this and that, right? But they also don't understand what we do and how we do certain things, right? Like, for example, if you're making beats for artists to use, then you're layering things a certain way. You leave some space for the artist to use. So there's a few things that we know that they don't know. So the primary thing was stop listening to people's opinions. That was the first thing. And stop looking at numbers. Like when I was uploading on YouTube, bro, like when I started uploading to YouTube, I was getting like 3 views, like 2 dislikes. I was just like losing it, right? But once you stop looking at the numbers, I feel like, you know, things just get better. Like naturally, the more you do something, you will get better at it. It feels like you'll never get better at it, but you definitely 100% will. Like it's simply impossible for you to not get better at something if you do it every single day for 3-4 years. So yeah, I feel like no opinions.
Yeah. One of the things I like whenever I do speak to artists about that, one of the things is they're scared of their Spotify. Like, you know, when you see someone Spotify, a big thing is like if it's saying like under like 1,000 streams or 2,000 streams, it just like a lot of people think that'll just look really bad for someone finding them for the first time. If like all their 10 songs are like 500 streams or whatever, what would you have to like say to them?
I mean, that's an ego thing though, right? Like I feel like as an artist, you have to understand if you have the ability to understand that that's your ego, that's where this thing should stop. Like you should be self-aware enough to understand that I have this thing that I'm trying to protect in my head, this image of like everyone cares about what I'm doing. Everyone's like checking my Spotify every single day. They're like, oh, less than 1,000, less than 1,000. Whereas in reality, like the way to think about it is, well, let me put 500 pieces of music up there. Let me put like 1,000 tracks up there. And if one of them gets 1,000, then slowly the rest will also start getting thousands. And when you have like 1,000 songs up, okay, 1,000 might be a bit of a stretch, but let's say 500 songs out, which is still a lot. Once you build that momentum, then 500 songs is a good amount to, you know, bring a lot of money in or bring a lot of fans in. Like you need to have something. Because the thing is, let's say you have 3 tracks and the 4th one you post blows up. Then you have only 3 tracks in your catalog. There's nothing there. There's not enough content for people to consume if you do end up blowing up or being this like massive overnight success. Whereas if you do have a catalog, things just start building up. Like for example, right now I have like I should have a bit like slightly over 360 beats up on my YouTube, on my BeatStars, everywhere. Over the last month, I've been getting so much traction on YouTube, like everything starts getting views. People start going back. They start listening to everything. They start finding all these beats that I thought were trash, and people start enjoying them. People start buying them. Like imagine if I had never done that because I was too scared of the less than 1,000 sign. Or the, you know. So you need to have some sort of base set up, even if no one's noticing it. Because when the time comes and people notice that, that's going to be massive. That has the potential to be a life changer, you know?
Yeah, I like 100% agree with that. Because actually, like as you said, it gives. So if you blow up, it like just as you said, like it gives someone to to fall in love with your music. Otherwise, there's nothing there, and then that's what can lead to like quick like one-hit wonders because you blow up, you have nothing there. Then you try and release, and people can't, and those songs won't do as well.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not sure if this is accurate because I remember reading this, but I didn't. Maybe I need to fact check this, but Juice WRLD's Lucid Dreams blew up a year after he uploaded it. So that thing was sitting.
He had loads of songs on SoundCloud, like a
that
lot.
thing was sitting on SoundCloud for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine Juice WRLD was like, bro, like less than 1,000 plays, like the first 3 months, you gotta take that thing down, right? But it blew up out of nowhere. Once that blew up, people were blowing up his SoundCloud. Like they were listening to everything because like they had never heard something like this. So imagine a situation like that would never play out if you were too scared of like putting out music or like too scared of the numbers. So that's a clear example right there. And people think Juice WRLD is an overnight success. Juice WRLD is not an overnight success, right? So I feel like people have to learn from artists like Juice WRLD, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of similar artists. X, for example. X is another good example. Look at Me blew up. Everything started getting plays. Like people still listen to his like old school, like underground, like recorded in a bedroom tracks, you know?
Yeah. Something I'm really interested in is, so you've had so much experience with YouTube. Obviously, it's more from a producer side. What could you take from that you could tell artists to help them grow their YouTube and like sort of get a fan base through that?
What's interesting is that YouTube is I feel like a lot of musicians that hop onto YouTube, producers and rappers, kind of try to treat YouTube as Instagram, kind of like a similar platform, whereas in reality, YouTube is a search engine. It works like a search engine. So it's pretty much like Google. You just have to flood it. And I've never come across, I don't think I've ever come across an artist who has like 2 videos and they genuinely only uploaded 2 videos and they're doing well on YouTube. For me, I feel like I said, I feel like last month and a half is when everything picked up out of nowhere. For the past like 2 years, that place has been like gradually, getting, 10 subscribers every 2 months. And then it's like, sometimes you'll have like this weird kind of like, you'll rank on like one keyword and then one of your beats will get like 1,000 plays and then you'll get like 10 subscribers over one video and you're like losing it. And so that's the thing, like YouTube is you have to build it up. You definitely have to build it up. It's not like TikTok where you can just put something and just expect to get views. It's not like Instagram Reels. So it really does require a lot of like consistency. I feel like consistency is the number one thing for YouTube. You have to, I don't care if it's like once a week. I don't care if it's like 7 days a week. You have to upload consistently, even if no one's watching that. And especially with artists, like I suggest artists like go out their ways and create content, like video content, even if it's not music videos. Because I feel like a lot of artists are just like too focused on music videos. Like artists should upload vlogs. Like people want to see the procedure of you making a track. People want to see what you do outside of music. Like people want to fall in love with that person. They don't just want to fall in love with the artist who's just like in the music videos. And artists have a lot to share. It's just like none of them want to do it because no one else is doing it. So they feel like it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say? Because obviously for producers, like search engine, like the tools like TubeBuddy, vidIQ on YouTube, do you think artists could be using those tools as well? Like, would that be useful for them?
Right. 100%. Even though, and this might sound a bit weird, personally, I feel like it's kind of hard to link like you ranking on a keyword with those extensions. I feel like it's kind of hard. Like it's sometimes even like TubeBuddy and vidIQ, like their numbers are not necessarily accurate, if you will. I feel like in some cases they are. And it's like a good thing to have, I guess, in the general sense. However, I'm not sure how accurate they are. That being said, I feel like artists should definitely look into tags and keywords and all of that and try and find out ways to implement that into their own content. Now, I'm pretty sure it'll be way easier to rank on like a vlog at the studio with this and that in the title, right? So I feel like artists should look into that as well if they're trying to take their YouTube seriously. Because the thing about YouTube is that it takes a long time to build up. But once you actually build up, the reward of YouTube is massive. I don't think people realize that. They're so demotivated by the building up part that they give up on it. But the reward is massive. Like that thing can become huge. And a lot of artists don't realize that. They're trying to focus on like music and like music videos and I'll have my fans here. Like, nah, like you have to, YouTube requires building up, requires time, but the rewards are insane.
Yeah. So for artists listening right now, like how could they just, maybe some of them don't even have a YouTube channel. Like how would you go about just tackling, firstly, the amount of content that like you should be aiming to put out? And you're saying like vlogs, good type of content, but what other things as well?
Right. It depends, right? For example, I mean, first and foremost, it depends on what the artist genuinely wants to do with their careers. Because not everyone is there to teach, not everyone wants to teach, not everyone wants to share. There's a bunch of smaller details. But if I were an artist right now with the same mentality that I'm a producer and I like teaching, I like sharing information with people, I would start making videos about, I would do like album reviews of like albums that dropped this week. I'd share my opinions as a rapper on those albums. Perhaps I'd make videos on how to rap, like help people. Perhaps I'd make videos about like my own like flows and like techniques and like how I came up with certain things. I'd make videos on how I record my vocals. I'd make videos on like, so there's so many things you can share. And the thing is, like, if you like follow the whole like Gary Vee like strategies, like these longer videos can also be repurposed for Instagram and other platforms. So technically, you're putting your big content on YouTube, the longer content, which is like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, doesn't matter. And then you can repurpose that as well for your other platforms. So there's so much content to be made. It's just that artists have to get creative with it. Like, for example, like I've realized people are really scared to be creative when it comes to platforms like YouTube or like TikTok and Instagram Reels. I feel like a lot of artists, whenever I talk to them, I'm like, well, you can use Reels, like you can like freestyle over producers' beats, or like you can be on TikTok, you can freestyle over producers' beats. But then they're like, okay, but what else can I do? I was like, well, I don't know, just sit and think, right? Like you have to like figure it out, like be on the platform a little bit, scroll a little bit, see what others are doing. Like there's so much potential for artists to start, going out their ways. Because the thing with artists is like everyone's doing the same thing. Right now, everyone's doing the same thing. If one person does something slightly differently, it'll be so easy to spot them. Mm-hmm. But everyone's just doing the same thing.
So what like if you're an artist right now, what kind of different things would you be thinking of apart from obviously freestyling over beats on TikTok and
Instagram? I'm going all off, bro. I'm making content about the artists I like. I'm making content about the flows I have. I'm making content about how I record, where I record. I'm making content about the equipment you need to buy as an artist to record at home. I'm making content about rappers that influenced me. Bro, every single thing you can make content on. Like, there's so much potential to it. And due to the fact that I'm not a rapper, maybe there's like some other reasons why they don't make the content. But even as a producer recently, I thought about this. I was like, I felt like my content was getting repetitive. I was like, I feel like there's more I can do. And I just realized, I was like, what if I just like give feedback to rappers like who make reels, who make this, who make that, like who share their music. I can just like react to them and give feedback. Like that's some sort of content. That's like reacting to a video on YouTube, which is like now considered a massive industry. But back then it was considered like a joke. But now it's like it has its whole category. There's this whole category of people reacting to videos. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, I like that. And the thing for me, which I've had to learn, is just like try everything. Like exactly. just do as much as you can, and then you're going to figure out what works and what doesn't work. That's what's really helped me, because mm-hmm. like it is really confusing at first, and there's so many like everywhere. Like we'll say something here, another YouTube channel will say something completely different, and someone on Instagram will say something completely different. So the best piece of advice that I could give is just try everything and just post, and you'll figure out what works. Right.
100% agree. Like you have to be open to trying things out. And it takes time, like even personally, I was really scared to go out my way. Once you figure out something that works, you just won't do it forever. But the tricky thing about these platforms is that they crack down on everything. Like they're very well put together. So I remember there was like this period of time where I was just posting like music videos I found on YouTube with like my own beats over them. And that was working great. And I was like, this requires zero effort, bro. I can just pump these out. I was putting out 1 a day, 2 a day on Instagram. And then like a few months later, just like out of nowhere, just stopped working. Like completely stopped working. And I was like, like my whole strategy of growing on Instagram just completely collapsed overnight. So that's when I realized, okay, like I actually got to try things. Even if you lose followers, even if you lose subscribers, like you got to try things out. You'll find something that works. You just got to try things out. And trying things out might require, a month of implementation or 2 months, but you got to try things out. You got to be open to change.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
And it makes it fun as well. You're doing the same shit every single day. Like, everyone talks about burning out, but like you're not going to burn out if you're enjoying yourself and you're trying new shit. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Like, just keep doing new stuff and having fun with it. Like treat it as an art. Like that's why I treat creating content. Like I make music and you also make content. You make content about your music and it's like fun and you're growing with other people and you get to meet new people. For artists, sorry, was I cutting you off there?
I was just thinking about that because I feel like I feel like when it comes to artists, well, I feel like the biggest problem, where the root of the actual problem is that we just learn to constantly take from these platforms. We learn to constantly take from these platforms. Like we just want to take. And when you're an artist or a producer, you just want to sell. You want to sell beats. You want to sell people to your music. And what we don't understand is that for that to happen, you got to become part of the actual ecosystem of Instagram. You got to be part of the community of Instagram. You got to interact with posts. You got to give feedback. You got to give as much as you want to take. You can't just constantly take from these platforms. And what Instagram wants is good content. You got to be able to give that. You got to give that community feeling in order to take back the likes and the follows and all of that. So you got to conform to the rules of every single platform 100% if you genuinely want to grow. And,
Yeah. Do you see Instagram as like sort of a longer term thing that's going to be here for like a while for artists, or like what's your opinion on what's going to be here in the next sort of 5 years?
I mean, the thing is, first and foremost, it's really hard to tell, right? Like it's extremely hard to tell because platforms show up out of nowhere and they disappear out of nowhere. TikTok. Like I remember TikTok showed up, people were, including me, everyone was just like cringing at it. Next thing you know is everyone has to be on it. You never know. In the next few years, TikTok might disappear out of nowhere. Same thing with Instagram. Personally, I don't feel like Instagram is going anywhere anytime soon. A lot of people talk about, like Instagram, like killed my organic reach. Therefore, I'm getting off of Instagram. It's like, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you get off of Instagram because Instagram has attracted the people it will attract. It keeps attracting people way more than people are leaving the platform. So I think the platform will do good. I'm not sure if it'll be the biggest thing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell, but they do seem like they're trying to keep up with things, especially with the implementation of Reels and now where you can like duet Reels, like remix Reels. I think that's pretty cool. So they're definitely putting in the effort to keep up with things. And I don't know. It's hard to tell. Personally, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think even if you start on Instagram right now, it's definitely a platform you should be on. If you have a business, if you're an artist, if you're this, if you're that, 100%.
Yeah, that was a difficult question. It is actually, I think I wouldn't know what to answer to that. But,
right.
So looking forward to like the rest of this year, what would you be doing if you were an artist, like going for like specific tactics for going forward to this year? Like what can artists be doing right now that's going to help grow a fan base?
Well, first and foremost, connect with people. Like, I don't care what platform you're on. If you're expecting to build a community, you have to actually become part of the community. You have to go on other people's videos, like, comment, do this, do that, talk to people. Like, for example, over the past like few months, I've been really involved in Academics' posts or World Star Hip Hop or this and that. And what happens is you'll comment and then someone will respond and then you have to keep the conversation going, right? You want to like become part of the actual community. And that's how things start moving around. I feel like that's the number one thing. Number two, consistency. Like you need to be consistent with it. Personally, I have this theory. I'm not a rapper myself, but I personally put out 4 beats a week. That's the thing. 3 beats throughout the week and 1 on the weekend, which is free for profit. That's my strategy. And it's worked great for me. I feel like rappers need to implement something like that for themselves as well. It's like 1 song out every week. You start in the beginning of the week, you plan the track out, you find the beat, you put together some custom cover art or whatever you want. You release it on Friday, on Saturday, and then you get back to it next week. Like just consistency, just pump it out. And do this with 0 expectations. Like just see if you can keep it up for like a year. Like that's a challenge by itself. See if you can figure that out by yourself. At the same time, I feel like that will bring in tons of fans and a massive result. Because the thing is, like, one of the biggest turnoffs, I guess, when I try to work with artists is when I'll go, yo, like, can I check out some of your music? They'll be like, yeah, like, go find it on Spotify or whatever. And after like hours of searching, because they, you know, they never make it easy for you. You go on their profiles and it's like 1 track from 2019. It's like, but bro, like, I'm trying to hear some music, right? Like I'm trying to like go through your catalog and there's nothing. So I feel like if you put out music for, let's say 1 song every week for the next like year, that's like 52 tracks. That's a decent catalog. You know, you can actually start reaching out then and marketing your music. You know, you're sitting on a good amount of tracks. But the thing is, like, people just don't want to do all that. And like another thing, like people put 0 effort into actually building hype for their things. They're like, well, if I get 10 comments, I'll drop. It's like, bro, that's not good enough.
No one wants to comment.
Like no one wants to comment on your, like there's no incentive for me to comment. Like there's no incentive for like, you can't just like come out of nowhere and be like 100 comments and I'll drop. Like, bro, like 100 people don't even know you make music. Like that's like, you know, like people have to understand that what works for someone else won't work for you. So if you're starting from the bottom, like, and you have 0 fans, understand that you are at the bottom. You have 0 fans. Go on Instagram, start talking to people, start connecting with people, and maybe you'll get your first fan. But don't just make a post and be like, well, 10 comments and I'll drop. Like no one knows you.
Yeah. We have to work towards wrapping up, but would you say a song a week is like absolute ideal? Like for artists listening, like is a song a week, like you can do that, you're set for a year?
I 100% believe so. I might be wrong because personally I'm not a rapper. I don't do that. Personally, I drop 4 beats a week. Like if someone can keep up with 4 tracks a week, that's almost guaranteed, bro. Like you'll definitely get results from that. It's simply impossible to not get results when you're just blasting content out. A track a week, because I realize a lot of artists are very sensitive with the, well, I want to take my time with it. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like I want to make sure it's perfect. Like I'll give you a week, bro. Like if you can do a track a week, that's decent. But that will also teach you a lot. I feel like that a lot of artists don't realize. Like it'll teach you discipline. That's the number 1 thing. Like it'll teach you that, you know, if you've truly stuck to it, you won't go out on the weekend to do this and that. You'll actually work towards putting that track out because you made that commitment to yourself. It'll teach you how to connect with producers if you need beats. It'll teach you how to connect with artists if you need cover art. It'll teach you how to actually reach out to people to get them to listen to your music. Like it'll teach you so much that I feel like a lot of artists don't realize. Yeah.
I agree with you. Last question. What are your top 3 mistakes that you see artists making right now?
Top 3 mistakes. Well, number 1, thinking they're being like having 0 self-awareness. That's definitely the first thing. And what I mean by that is thinking they're at the status of Playboi Carti or at the status of Lucifer when they have 1 track out. Like,
yeah.
You're not, like, you're simply not that person. Like, I understand you dream of becoming that person. However, you're not, and that's okay. You just need to accept it. That's the number 1 thing. Number 2, I feel like they're scared to experiment. Like sometimes I'll talk to artists and it'll be like, well, this is my style. And I'll check out their music and they'll have like 5 tracks out. It's like, well, you don't know your style, to be honest. Like that's just what was comfortable for you for the first like 5 tracks. People should be open to trying things out. because I feel like too many people are scared of what people are going to think. I understand that because I'm a producer myself and I went through something similar. However, you need to understand that there's a lot of ego involved in that. You're scared of, people not liking your music, therefore you're scared of trying it out. And number 3 is patience. Like, nothing happens overnight. Sometimes I'll work with artists and they'll be like, well, do you think this one track we put out will blow up? It's like, well, I hope it does. Then again, I can't promise anything because this thing actually takes time. It's like building a house, like brick by brick, you have to build the whole thing. And no one else is going to work harder than you. People a lot of the time expect that. They expect the producer to promote them more than they promote themselves. It's like, well, it's not going to work. Just be self-aware. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess we can talk about this for hours, but 3 main things: be self-aware, understand where you stand, experiment, open to experimentation. And that's it, bro. Like, I mean, there's so much, but I feel like a lot of it will come naturally to the artist along the way as they grow as artists. They'll realize a lot of things. They'll realize that no team member will work harder than them. That's it, bro.
Perfect. So where should everyone find you? Have you got anything you'd like people to know about? The free for profit beats, artists should definitely take advantage of that.
Right. I feel like if you're an artist right now, just starting out, there's no reason to not grab every single free for profit I have up. Like, I have over 70 free for profit beats. Like, you can put out an EP a week if you want, and you will still have beats left over. Like, I feel like people should grab that. They can find me at thebrokeBoi.com or on YouTube, BrokeBoi Beats, Instagram, BrokeBoi Beats. I'm BrokeBoi Beats everywhere. I want to get rid of the beats part, but I guess I'm keeping it now because it became a thing. So I'm hopefully, I'll pop up if they look me up. I'm flooding the internet with content, so it should be okay.